Hey guys, EDDBUD here. It's never too late to review a shoe, and today's the turn of the Nike Zoom Streak 7. Let's get straight to it with the review today. Before the Vaporflies of the world appeared, this one was always right up there in terms of podium and race positions. It was the top of the tree and it was on many a runner's foot. In my UK size 11, this one clocks in at 232 grams, which is 8.2 ounces. Makes this about 1.2 ounces lighter than the Alphafly, 0.1 ounce heavier than the Next Percent, and 2.6 ounces lighter than the Tempo Next Percent. An 8mm drop here, but only 26mm in the heel. So relatively low stack height shoe. I mean, compare that up against the Alphafly that's like 40mm or something. There's really quite a difference there. This shoe retails for around about 100 Earth credits, though at the moment, if you're lucky, you can find it for almost half of that. So quite a few differences in this shoe compared to Nike's other racing models. Let's leap in with both feet. So I took this one on a 7.5 mile run today, 12.1 kilometers total. Within that, I had 4 times 1,200 meter repeats with a 3-minute cool-off period after each one. So quite a few varied paces today. I ran probably around about 18 to 19 minutes at pretty much my 5k pace, getting the heart rate right up into my threshold sort of levels, and it was feeling good. I don't think you can really review a shoe like this unless you pretty much utilize it at those race paces, so that's what I aim to do today. Upper first. This upper is all that I want Nike shoes to be. A far better lockdown on foot than that Pegasus 37. Still using the lace loop type structure, but there's some pieces inside that wrap around your foot, and the lockdown was just, Bay Marie, as Del Boy would say. My only slight concern with the upper is the relatively short tongue, and those of you who like to use a runner's knot, when you use the last 2 eyelets here, the laces just basically come across on top of your foot, and that's going to cause some problems. I didn't need to use a runner's knot today. I just triple knotted the laces using the second to last eyelet, and I was good to go. But those that use a runner's knot, do take note of that. For me, a really superb lockdown with just the right amount of padding around the opening of the shoe. There's a very small heel counter at the back here. Though it's quite minimal, it is functional, and it adds to the tasty lockdown broth. The upper here, as you can spy from the footage, is breathable, so much so that light literally passes through it. The whole shoe's really just feather light, and the upper really does help with that. As I mentioned about the weight, it's only marginally heavier than the Next Percent. I think it's a really attractive upper as well. Quite a few people on Strava mentioned it's one of the most beautiful shoes they've seen of recent time. Just simple overlays, very minimal, no fuss. I'd suggest the shoe's a little more snug in terms of length than Nike's daily shoes, but I guess you'd expect that from a racing shoe. It's actually a bit wider in the toe box than most of Nike's other shoes. Some might prefer to half size up, but I feel you lose that race feel with this one, and I was fine going true to size with my UK 11, US size 12. A near perfect upper for me. The only thing I would change is just increasing the length of that tongue just a smidge. So I'm going to give the upper a 2.8 out of 3 after my initial run in the Zoom Streak 7.
Midsole now.
No React or Zoom X in this one. Phylon foam is in use. It creates a very light and responsive ride. So from my research, this foam's been used for ages and ages by Nike. There's not an awful lot of information out there that really quantifies exactly what Phylon's made up of, but I will say it's very similar perhaps in its properties to the Flight Foam Propel that I found in the Asics shoes. I think they also used it in a lot of basketball shoes over the years. Might be in that LeBron 17 that I reviewed a few months back. To me, Phylon just sounds like a very space-age frying pan coating. Oh, go watch Dark Waters, by the way. That's a really great film. Superb, but a little scary. As I say, the midsole material here reminds me a little bit of that in the Meta Racer, and perhaps the Evo ride as well. But you've got Zoom Air in the heel. You really do feel it, actually, if you're going downhill. It's very, very prevalent. It appears to be quite a small unit, which finishes a little bit before the green Pebax plate in the midsole. Shanks are supposed to be there to provide some structure and also some stability and help support the foot. Though here it does provide a little bit of rigidity, I certainly could feel it, though I think using P-backs as the material makes sure the weight is kept to the minimum. There's certainly some snap in this one for sure. I think really its purpose is there to try and distribute your weight as you put your foot down onto the surface. So I think what really does separate this shoe out from a lot of other very low stack races is that zoom air in the heel. So I got down to about 6 minutes 22 through to about 6 minutes 33 on those repeats today. The shoe felt really superb and I felt a real connection with the surface underfoot. I think that Streak 7 worked really well today at my 5k paces, and the shoe just melted away after a while and left me concentrating on my performance rather than the shoe or any equipment I was using, which is always a good thing. I see no reason at all why this shoe can be used for a 5 or 10k race, and for me I'd even use it at the half marathon distance. No worries. I think there's enough midsole cushion there for me. There's absolutely nothing that I don't like about the midsole in this shoe. I've really struggled. There must be something there that I can reduce the score by a couple of points, but I can't find it. Brilliant width there in the midsole, rebound, and that subtle implementation of the zoom air. It's going to be a 3 out of 3 for the midsole on my initial runs. Outsole now. Outsole wise, well, the big scores are going to continue. We're on a bit of a hot streak. The blown rubber here reminds me a little bit of a beehive or a honeycomb or something ant related. Maybe it's even a little alien-like in appearance. It gave a very traditional grip though on my run today. Even on grass sections actually, where I was evading some passers-by. They looked really bemused and aghast as I ran past them at this ridiculous pace. I pretty much vaulted a car at one point as well that just wasn't really watching where it was going and tried to pull out of a car park and almost caught me, but I was too quick. This time at least. The spaces between the segments here though are the only downfall of this outsole. If you're going to be using it on some sort of gravel area, it's going to pick up and chew those stones up. Could be a bit of an issue, I suppose. You might have to get your little screwdriver out and get rid of them all. On road or pavement though, then I can't really see it being much of an issue. The rubber seems to be fine after a single run. I've got no signs of wear at all anywhere. I have seen some reports of other runners having serious problems in terms of durability of the outsole rubber, so we'll have to keep a close eye on that one. I never seem to have too many problems though with outsoles wearing down that much. Don't know, maybe it's my light weight. I'm like a feather really, but maybe that's it. It's only really the Rincon that I've had problems with wearing down too quickly. Impressive stuff in the outsole of this Nike. A 2.8 out of 3 for the outsole, only reduced by those stowaway stones. It's time to talk value, value, value. Value-wise, you've got 100 Earth credits for this one at retail, but as I said, many people have picked them up for as low as half price actually. It's hard to really put this shoe down at even retail price, I think. For some people, it's probably not going to have enough cushion that they're looking for, but then again, this isn't really a daily shoe. I think with that addition of the Zoom Air there, even those midfoot or heel strikers shouldn't discount this one in the race stakes. Certainly not something people are going to use perhaps on a everyday basis, but I'd certainly pick this one up to do tempo intervals or some type of repeat sessions. Could even be really good on the track, and I've got to say at threshold pace it's amongst the very best that I've ever tried. I mean, the ridiculous price I paid for this, 55 Earth credits, you can't lose. It even came with a special Nike race bag you can put them in. I think for runners who really enjoy those lower stack heights, who want a nice, light, nimble and comfortable shoe, you can't go wrong. I don't think versatility is really the Streak 7's best point, but at the low price you can pick up this low weight shoe now, I think it's got to be high on the agenda. I'm going to give this one a 2.8 out of 3 after my initial run for value. That gives us a whopping 11.4 out of 12 for the Nike Zoom Streak 7. Have you guys worn any of the Zoom Streak series? What did you make of them? Certainly my first impressions are extremely good. Let me know in the comments below. A quick musical interlude for you. It's always around about this time of year that I dig out my Scott Walker albums once again, and this year's no exception to that. Scott 2 is on the turntable. The reason I love Scott 2 so much is because it's where sort of both worlds collide. You've got some of his more ballad-like tracks and then some of his more experimental tunes all on one album. Jackie's just absolutely balmy. Then you've got this beautiful little sweet tune called The Black Sheep Boy. Next is not for the faint of heart by any stretch of the imagination. And then you've got Plastic Palace People, which is amongst one of my favourite Scott Walker tracks. Just loads of different parts to that one. It's almost like a story, I guess. And it all ends on a sort of more sweet note with Come Next Spring, which is sort of looking to better times, I guess, in the next year. 1968 album, this one, but it's still absolutely timeless. Go and check it out, Scott 2 by Scott Walker. Okay, that's just about all for today. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and sticking with me to the very end of the video. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when I launch those new videos. And it helps the channel out a huge amount if you give this video a thumbs up like and share with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you